Are you more like God or Jeffrey Dahmer? Or are you like most people in between? Does it matter? Let's see in this video. I'm going to build this scatter plot from scratch. It is formed using two variables. One is the measure of a person's works. The other is a measure of how aware a person is of the gap between should be and is. I'll explain that in a minute. First, look at good works versus bad. A good work is something that people benefit from. It is associated with the ideas of kindness, generosity, helpfulness, friendliness, love, etc. Most people would agree that a financial gift to fight cancer is a good work, as is helping someone in need. Bad works are things like murder, theft, greed, bigotry, and hate. Robbing a bank is taking someone else's money that they earned through hard work. That is bad. So is blowing all the leaves off your lawn onto your neighbors. It's not as bad as a bank robbery, but still not great. Just as there are different severities of moral acts, also there are different amounts of good and bad things that you do throughout your life. If you place all the deeds of your life on a balance, you would know where to place yourself on the spectrum. Satan is at one end of the spectrum. He's the rebel angel that wanted to overthrow God. At the other end is Jesus, who did all that his Father asked. Satan was self-centered and self-serving. In contrast, Jesus gave his love and life for others. Mother Teresa is far better than Satan, but doesn't quite match Jesus. So we'll put her here on the spectrum. In contrast, most would agree that Dahmer is closer to Satan than to Jesus. I'll put him here. The other variable of the two-dimensional plot is that of gap awareness. A gap is the span between what you are doing and what you should be doing. If the speed limit is 55 miles per hour and you're driving 85, there's a gap. So what does the awareness part mean? First, it's possible to be gap unaware. Imagine you're on an open road with no traffic. As you cruise toward the mountains in the distance, you're doing 85 in a 55. The gap is there, but you may be unaware of it as you daydream about nature's beauty. However, if you're curious about your car's maximum speed, you might push the accelerator to the floor. As you reach and exceed 55, you constantly check the speedometer and are fully aware of the gap. Note that only the person driving the car can know the level of gap awareness. For example, when a pedestrian sees a car race by, they don't know if the driver is cognizant of their transgression. We'll now put together the two-dimensional plot. On the x-axis is the spectrum for works. On the y-axis, a continuum for gap unaware and aware. Jesus would go here because he was 100% good and totally aware that he had no gap. Satan's over here because his acts are all bad. And you would guess that he's fully aware of his situation too. Mother Teresa had a huge amount of good works, but she was not perfect. Thus, you can't plot her coincident with Jesus on the work scale. You also assume that she was quite aware there was a gap, although that knowledge wasn't perfect either. Dahmer would be close to Satan regarding his deeds. As a serial killer, he did a lot of evil. But where does he go on the gap awareness scale? Does a psychopath really know what they're doing? Again, like the speeding driver, only he knows. Let's slide him down on the plot and assume his moral compass was highly defective. Where would you put yourself? You've probably done both good and bad things. That would put you somewhere in the middle of the x-axis. But where would you go on the awareness scale? Do you really know the amount of damage you've done to others? Let's put you in the middle of the plot with most people. What part of this plot is more important, works or gap awareness? You probably say it's works, but I would suggest awareness. Your actions affect people on this earth, but gap awareness gauges your relationship with God. Focusing on deeds distracts you from your eternal situation. You can only appreciate God's grace when you see the gap. He adopted you before the creation of the world. and you are his child despite your works. You can't do enough good works to earn God's adoption. You can't do enough bad things to revoke it. That's the good news of the gospel. Please click the thumbs up icon if you like this video. Also leave your comments and questions below. Until next time, remember humility, thanks, and joy.